Rocky's laying there having a sleep, not a care in the world. I love that little guy, I do. Anyway, I started to do things more sensibly. I'm learning as I go. I'm kind of slow-witted, really. I actually am. I'm actually kind of a slow-witted guy, so it takes me a while sometimes to figure things out. I'm actually kind of like borderline mentally retarded, basically, and I've actually been diagnosed that. So it's not just me saying it. I've had professionals tell me that's the case after they've tested me. And so considering that, I think I do pretty well. But still, it seems that I have to learn the hard way, and that's what I've been doing here. But I have figured it out. I'm now cutting all the small stuff at this end. By doing that, I've managed to cut all the way through this finally, to get this to let go. It's still kind of leaning against the end of it here by this piece here, but it has let go. My battery in my chainsaw is pretty well dead now, so I think I'm finished using it for tonight. It needs to be recharged, but still, that's pretty good. I'm definitely knocking it down now, and I'm kind of proud of myself for that. Like I say, back in the 1970s, I was tested a couple of times and it came back borderline retarded or mildly retarded. So apparently I'm retarded anyway. I know you're not supposed to use that terminology anymore. But the thing is, for a lot of years I was too proud to admit to it, and it caused me a lot of conflict with people, and because people get their back up when they treat you like you're not all there, because you're not all there, and then you resist them on it. And basically, when you try to convince somebody that your opinion is as valid as theirs, when you're like me and you're not all there, then what happens is they take it as an insult and then they want to fight with you. And the law will never side in with the mentally retarded guy. And I use the old terminology, even though I know I'm supposed to say these days the more politically correct, developmentally disabled or whatever. But I do that because the old terminology is blunt and it's more honest, and it kind of forces me to face up to what I am, which is retarded. But still, of course, they also use the retarded label to justify using me as a guinea pig for medical experiments. So who knows how accurate that is. I do know, by the way I have mismanaged my affairs, that there is something wrong though. Other people don't get tricked as easily as I do and stuff like that. And other people have an easier time learning things than I do. So there probably is something to it. But again, I don't know. There's always corruption comes into play. But just the fact that things have been the way they've been for me would indicate that I'm not functioning just the way I should, too. So I have to at least acknowledge that I'm part of the problem. Anyway, and I use the harsh terminology just to shock myself and to jolt myself back to reality especially when I start thinking that I'm smart, when I'm actually not. Anyway, I did figure it out. It took me a while, like it does with everything. I'm definitely a slow learner at the very least. But I did figure it out. And there it is. There it is. It's coming down good now. It's a lot safer than it was. I'm all finished with the saw for tonight because the battery now has gone down, and I find once the battery goes down, the saw starts getting caught up and jamming and stuff, and that's not safe. I don't want it kicking back on me and injuring me, and so I'm going to shut her down, and I'll have to recharge the battery before I do any more work with it. And I'm tired, and it's not a good time to be using power tools of any kind when you're tired, so I'm going to shut it down now for tonight. Anyway, it's at least now stabilized to the point where it's no threat to anybody. If Rocky goes over there near it, it's not going to fall down on top of him and kill him or anything. So there is that. And that's it. Anyway, hope you're all having a good evening so far. I'm going to rest a bit, and then I'm going to cook my supper, and I'm going to put all my tools away and all that, and get ready. Start packing things in for the night. Yeah. Anyway, let's have another look at Rocky because he's cute. He is. He's really cute. Look at him. Fast asleep. My goodness, hey? Fast asleep. Quite a cat. He played with his catnip that the neighbor gave for him there, the little catnip, stuffed catnip toy. He loves that. So thank you, Pauline, for thinking of Rocky again. It's very kind of you. You know, that lady's in her 80s, her and her husband are, and they're both still very active and sharp as whips, I'll tell you. You know, I mean, like anybody, as they get older, they've slowed down, but it's amazing, really. If y'all live to be if y'all live into your 80s and you're as smart and as active as those two are, you should consider yourself very fortunate. They live in their own home. They drive cars. They do volunteer work. They've always got different projects going on. Her husband Andy there, he's a jack of all trades. I swear, there's not a whole lot that man can't do. And the only thing holding him back now is he's older, so he's having some trouble physically, but he's got all the knowledge upstairs still, just like he always had. And he still does a remarkable amount of work every day, you know. And she's running a cat rescue organization, and she's volunteering here and there, and they're both really great people anyway, and I'm glad to know them. Anyway, and I'm especially glad to know Rocky. Hey, I really am. He's a pretty nice little fella. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all later. Oh, and by the way, Rocky is like the equivalent to 72 years old, so he's a senior citizen too now, because he's 14 years old in our years, which is 72 in cat years. He'll be 15 years old at the end of August of this year. Have to look that up and find out what that will make him in cat years. But he's a senior citizen anyway. And he's still sharp as a whip too, and he still gets around and does a lot of stuff. Although right now he's having a rest. So look at his tail curled up there around his back leg. Quite a cat. Alright, talk to y'all later.